This is the AB4WS radio show. Every week, bringing you the exciting amateur radio news and information happening in the greater Cincinnati, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana areas.
The AB4WS radio show can be found on the Apple Podcast app or your favorite podcast application. And now also available on the AB4WS radio show YouTube channel. A big announcement from the Dan Beard Council Radio Scouting Committee and the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club concerning the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club opening their 2026 Field Day doors to the Scouts and getting Scouts on the air at the NKARC Get on the Air station for the 2026 Field Day. Sean, KE8BBC from the Dan Beard Council Radio Scouting Committee, and Ken, KR4KS, the 2026 Field Day Chairman for the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club, are both excited about introducing young scouts to the wonderful world of amateur radio. The NKARC will supply the equipment and the control operators to allow the scouts to get on the air and experience amateur radio in the outdoor field day atmosphere. The Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club is also preparing for a number of other activity and presentations which will educate not only the scout but other people who stop by field day to learn what amateur radio and field day is all about. These activities might include a fox hunt, which is a modern electronic version of hide and seek, where you use a radio receiver to recover and track down a hidden radio transmitter. Other modes of amateur radio communications other than voice, like the secret code of Morse code communication and the all-new world of digital radio communication, sending email over the radio, APRS text and position report communication, satellite communication, and many other technologies used by amateur radio for communication. Field Day mimic what can be done in emergency situations with alternative power used to fuel amateur radio and communications equipment in the great outdoors. Anyone is invited to come to the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club Field Day on Saturday, June 27th, starting at 2 p.m. and ending on Sunday, June 28th at 2 p.m. at the Lincoln Ridge Park, 420 Independence Station Road in Independence, Kentucky. For more information, go to nkarc.org or contact NKARC Field Day Chairman Ken, KR4KS. March 28th from 0000 UTC through March 29th at 2359 UTC is the 2026 CQWPX Sideband Contest, which is the largest event where everyone can work everyone for points sideband operating event in the world. It is a great opportunity to meet new friends, build your prefix totals, contribute to your club's efforts, and have fun. New for this year is that the logs need to be submitted within 48 hours of the end of the contest, no later than 23:59 hours on UTC on March 31st. For more information, go to cqwpx.com. The Lake Cumberland Amateur Radio Association is looking for amateur radio volunteers to assist in one of the most exciting events of the year, the 2026 McCreary Gravel Rally, which will be held on April 25th in Stearns, Kentucky. Ham radio plays a very important part in helping get communications into the valleys and hollers that make up the rally race course. Check out previous year's races for the Lake Cumberland Amateur Radio Association videos on the Elcara YouTube channel. If you want to sign up for the event, go to NASARALLYSPORT.com/main/account. For more information, contact Mike, KY6MM at KY6MM@ARRL.net. Rob Rogers, K8CO of Cincinnati, Ohio, has become a silent key. Our thoughts and prayers to his family and friends. Congratulations to new ham Robert Sizemore, KR4KTD, who passed his technician exam at the NKARC testing session on March 16th. Congratulations, Robert, and listen out for KR4KTD on the air. Everyone is well aware of the tremendous growth of the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club and all the neat things they've been doing. Several new hams have went from getting a technician license all the way to getting their extra class license. Now have obtained some pretty neat vanity call signs. Listen out and congratulate Ken Shepard, who was KR4BMB and is now KR4KS. Greg Howard, who was KQ4RIE and is now N4HX. And how about Bob Krebs, who was KR4AKX and is now Alpha Alpha 2 Hotel. Congratulations, guys. That's some neat calls. Are you looking to learn more about amateur radio? Well, there is a free amateur radio operating class on Zoom, 3-hour sessions starting Thursday, April 2nd, and runs through June 18th. Sessions begin at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, with usually 2 topics covered each evening, presented by experienced experts in the specific areas of amateur radio communication. A detailed syllabus is published before the classes begin, and you can attend all of them or just the ones you're interested in. But you have to register by emailing Rolanders, K3RA, at roland.anders@comcast.net. Some of the topics include ham radio operating awards, DX history and tips from experts, UHF-VHF weak signal communications, QSLing for DXCC or worked all states, slow scan and fast scan TV, remote station control over the internet, learning CW, digital modes, contesting propagation, amateur satellites, POTA tips, and many others. I attended this last year and learned a lot and was impressed, and I'll sign up again for it this year. It's well worth your time. K2BSA will be representing radio scouting this year at the biggest ham fest, the Dayton Hamvention, on May 15th through the 17th at the Greene County Fair and Expo Center in Xenia, Ohio, and it'll be located in Building 2 across from the ARRL. The booth is staffed by volunteers to share experiences and techniques for a radio merit badge, jamboree on the air, amateur radio demonstrations, and more. They're looking for volunteers for a 1-hour to multiple hour shift. If you're available for a 1-hour shift or multiple hour shift, please fill out the application at k2bsa.net/2026/03/hamvention-2026-booth-volunteers-needed. Are you interested in learning more about 630 meters? Well, at the Dayton Hamvention this year, there'll be a presentation on the Introduction to 630-meter Operation by Paul DeBoz, K8PD, who has designed a low-down antenna and many other products that are offered commercially for the 630-meter band. Paul's recent article in the February 26 QST magazine has fostered a lot of interest in operating in this relatively new ham radio territory. The forum is tentatively scheduled for Saturday afternoon. Also, you may catch him at the Radio Source booth, number 1002, in the Maxim Building, number 1. With the onset of the usual spring weather, it is important for all amateurs to be weather aware, and a nice addition to help you keep up on weather happenings when things get dicey is the Kentucky Severe Storm Weather Net, held on XLX 721A Multi-Mode Communications Network. Because of the history of increased severe weather, the monthly scheduled net, held the first Monday of each month at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, has now become a weekly net for the next several weeks. This gives you a chance to check in and make sure your equipment is working so that when the storm hits, you're ready. There are multiple ways to connect to this multi-mode communications network. If you have one of the M1KE devices, just connect it to XLX 721 Alpha. If you got a DMR radio, connect your hotspot or connect the repeater to Brandmeister Talk Group 3121232. For C4 FM radios, connect your hotspot to YSF Reflector 51149. There are 2 ways to connect to the network by D-Star. Either connect to DCS 721 Alpha or connect to REF 056 Alpha. For Echolink, connect to KY4RW-L. And remember, this allows everyone to communicate with each other regardless of what mode you're using, and you can hear everyone regardless of what mode they're using. It's a really neat system that's up 24/7, except for Echolink, which is only active during the net. So check it out anytime. Thanks to Ray, KY4RW, and Larry, NN4H, for this neat communication system. 2026 nominations for this year's Kentucky Amateur of the Year are open. The deadline for your candidate's entry is Friday, August 14th at 2026. When submitting a ham you wish to nominate, keep the following in mind. A radio amateur is considerate, loyal, progressive, friendly, balanced, and patriotic. For more information and where to send your candidate application, see the Kentucky Amateur of the Year page on the LouisvilleHamFest.com website. The Flying Pig is coming to town May 1st through the 3rd, and Steve, NATFD, is looking for amateur radio volunteers to assist with the race administration and communications. If you can help out, reach out to Steve at natfd@fuse.net. In celebration of the 250th anniversary of the country, the ARRL kicked off the America 250 Worked All States operating event. Each state will have 2 weeks of using W1AW call with their call sign district. This week, from March 25th through March 30th, is North Dakota, W1AW/0, and Oklahoma, W1AW/5. Next week, April 1st through April 7th, is California using W1AW/6, Mississippi, W1AW/5, and North Carolina, W1AW/4. For more information on this event, go to ARRL.org/America250-WAS. On Thursday, April 23rd at 6 p.m., there'll be a National Weather Service Weather Spotter training class at the Grove of Springfield Township, 9150 Winton Road in Cincinnati, Ohio, behind the fire station. Registration opens at 5:30 p.m.
Repeater news.
Are you looking for the most up-to-date list of repeaters in the greater Cincinnati area? Well, I have an Excel spreadsheet where I've listed repeaters that are active in the area, separated by tabs for each band or mode, so you can easily look for just DMR repeaters or 2-meter analog repeaters and so on. The list includes 2 meters, 220, 440, 6 meters, D-Star, DMR, C4FM, P25, and some other classifications. Every time I update the file, I include the date and the file name so that you know you have the latest update. To download the file, go to the AB4WS Radio Show Facebook page and go to the file section and download the file. If you're not on Facebook, email me at ab4ws.radio@gmail.com and I can email you the latest file. If you see any errors, problems, additions, or corrections, email that information to ab4ws.radio@gmail.com.
Hamfest.
On March 28th, from 8 a.m. to noon, is the Columbus, Indiana Hamfest at the North High School Cafeteria, 1400 25th Street in Columbus, Indiana. This is an all-indoor flea market with hourly door prizes, free parking, food and beverage purchases to benefit the Boy Scout Troop 549, along with VE testing. April 11th is the Cuyahoga Falls Amateur Radio Club 70th Hamfest at the Media Open Sons Expo Center, 48 East Bath Street in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. For more information, go to cfarc-hamfest.org. April 26th is the Tusco Amateur Radio Club 2026 Hamfest Computer and Electronics Show at the Tuscarawas County Fairgrounds, 259 South Tuscarawas Avenue in Dover, Ohio. For more information, go to w8zx.net/Hamfest. April 26th is the Athens, Ohio Hamfest at the Athens Community Center, 701 East State Street in Athens, Ohio. For more information, go to ac-ara.org. May 2nd is the Lucas County Amateur Radio Emergency Service Hamfest from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Merchants Landing Bingo Hall, 6182 Summit Street in Toledo, Ohio. The granddaddy of all Hamfests, the Dayton Hamvention, will be held May 15th, 16th, and 17th at the Greene County Fair and Expo Center, 210 Fairground Road in Xenia, Ohio. For more information, go to hamvention.org. Greater Louisville Hamfest will be on September 12th from 7:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Parquet Springs Conference Center, 395 Parquet Springs Drive in Shepherdsville, Kentucky, just off I-65 at exit 117. A number of interesting forums have already been scheduled and some really neat door prizes. For more information, go to LouisvilleHamfest.com.
Are you looking to upgrade your license? Do you have someone else that's interested in the hobby? Here are some upcoming exam opportunities.
The Milford Amateur Radio Club holds amateur radio testing on the third Thursday of each month at 6 p.m. at the Miami Township Civic Center, 6101 Meyer Drive in Milford, Ohio. Please pre-register at milfordhamradio.org. The Dayton Amateur Radio Association has exams frequently. For their exam schedule, email exams.w8bi@gmail.com. On April 20th at 5:30 p.m., the Northern Kentucky Amateur Radio Club will hold an amateur radio exam session at the Bethesda Community Church, 989 East Mount Zion Road in Independence, Kentucky. You must register by going to hamstudy.org/sessions/NKY-VE. Special thanks to this week's content contributors: KE8BBC, KY4ROD, AC4HI, KD9EYU, WB8VNH, KY4GW, WB8YYS, KD8ZLD, K9HIO, N8LAR, K4NKU.
If you have something you think other amateur radio operators in the area would be interested in, send the information or your recorded audio file attached in an email to ab4ws.radio@gmail.com.
Covering your amateur radio news and information in the greater Cincinnati, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana tri-state area. This is Jack Prindle, AB4WS in Big Bone, Kentucky.